What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I am your host, Reckless Rex Ruger, along with El Flaco Explosivo in puppet form, Alexis Arguello.
And I'm your other host, Frank Benjis, a.k.a. the Flying Dutchman, back with another one.
That's right. Back with another one is the most important part, man. And we're going to get him in here all the way from, our friendly neighbors to the north. We'll get him in here. Where is he? There he is. Steve, what's going on?
What's happening, fellas?
Do we got you? There he is. Yeah. Hey, listen, so great to have you on here. Glad we finally got a chance to do this and make it happen, man. And right off the bat, Steve Claggett, we got to know, because we're such big guys on nicknames. I myself am probably nearing 100 myself, nicknames. How did you arrive at the Dragon? I'm maybe pegging you for a Bruce Lee fan.
Well, I was a Bruce Lee fan, but originally I had a buddy just find out that I was half Chinese, and he had spent all day trying to nickname me something. And at the end of the day, he's like, "You're half Chinese?" He's like, "The Dragon, easy, the Dragon." And then that was it. And that was probably what, 11 years ago, a long time ago, and it stuck, man.
Yeah, I mean, hey, at least you got dubbed something, and you didn't have. We sit around and come up with our own.
Yeah. That's sad. That's downright pathetic, man. Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations. If I'm not mistaken, here you just had a fight and a victory here. What? Just a mere week or 10 days ago?
Yeah, exactly. 10 days ago, I believe.
Yeah, January 25th I've got down here. And so that makes 9 straight wins. You're on a hell of a roll, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Going strong.
Yeah. So what's the game plan now? How active would you like to be in 2024? Obviously, we're a little over a month into it.
Well, I'm kind of crazy. I've already, I want to go again, because the fight, it went well. The training camp was tough, but the fight was so quick and short. Right after the fight, I was like, I'm ready to go. Like, I don't know. That one just credit to the gym work, but I'm hoping for something right away. Next couple months, as soon as I can, I'm taking one.
Yeah, wouldn't you say it's you're getting through the fight quick? Wouldn't you say that's a good thing?
Yeah.
Hey, there's like a line in boxing that said we don't get paid for overtime.
Right.
So if you get the chance to, you get them out of there. Don't mess around. Do the job. Do your job right. Get it done. Because you know what I mean. There's always a chance. So we don't want to play with the odds of letting somebody sneak up on you or something like that. You know, you just get all seriously, get the job done. That's the important part.
The training camp's tough, but at least the punching bag and speed bag don't punch back.
Yeah. True. That's a good thing. And of course, you don't want to be on the wrong side of a bad decision, which is a reality in boxing. We do still see it more than we'd like to, you know?
Absolutely. I've been there. Been
there. now, so, and of course, I got to check my facts with BoxRec sometimes, but they have you down as a super lightweight. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. That's correct. 140 fighting.
How much?
140.
140. Okay. So obviously, there's a lot of big fish swimming around at 140. First of all, do any of the sanctioning bodies, forgive me for not knowing this, have you ranked right now? I feel like I saw you in the top 10 or 15 somewhere.
I'm number 8 by the WBC, which is
right.
The best one.
Yeah, I've been striving for that for a long, long time. Now, I'm in the top 15 of pretty much all of them across the board. I think that's just because I fought in all the different, under each of the different sanctioning bodies, but I fought for WBA. I currently hold the NABF. There's a lot that goes on, but I'm by everybody, so I'm pumped about that.
So what's the game plan? Do you feel like do you feel like you're going to get a crack or want to crack at another at a world title?
Absolutely. And then this is the name of the game. We want the biggest shot that we can get. But my promoter deals with that. the matchmakers, the promotional links between each company, they sort that stuff out. The fighter, our job is just stay ready, be ready for anybody. But if you ask me, anybody in the top 10, I'm gunning for him because I want my shot, man.
For the
Who is a
WBC,
big fish?
isn't the
Go ahead.
WBC champion? Is that Haney?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest fish right now at 140?
Well, then there's if Devin Haney has the belt, then technically he'd be, yes.
Yeah.
But also Ryan Garcia just came up. I don't know what Tank is doing. Is he staying here or is he going up? Teofimo Lopez is active and he's fighting
Jermaine Ortiz.
Jermaine Ortiz. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Coming straight up here, right?
Coming right up. Yeah.
So there's so much activity. There's so much going on. I'm just happy to be in the mix now, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm ready to do.
I'm trying to think now, but I think Haney's got a belt, right? And Matias has got a belt.
Yeah, why does nobody call that poor bastard out? That guy can't get a fight, man. Matias just seems like the guy that nobody wants to mention his name.
If they call him the boogeyman because people don't want to fight the style, the pressure, the high tempo style, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
he's a handful. He's a handful. He is. He seems like he is anyway.
Of course, all the guys in the top 10 are they have to be.
Now 140's gotten really, 140's gotten really exciting, but and obviously I understand the business side of it, the matchmakers, all that stuff. But if you could step back and put your promoter hat on, who would that guy be for you that you could have like that dream fight at 140 pounds?
All the guys are just named. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Any of them.
You can't pick one. Like you can. Like okay. I'd love to fight Ryan Garcia because he's got this momentum behind him. Massive draw to any show that he's on.
Yeah.
I'd fight Teofimo Lopez because he's a spectacular athlete and he's got all the straps. He's had the belts before, so he's a well-known fighter in the game, a champion. But being a great athlete, it brings the best out of me. So I'd love to fight him for those reasons.
Yeah.
I'd fight. This is what I mean. Like I could give a reason for anybody in the top 10.
You validate any of them. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm just looking for the shot. And then you know how it is. Fighters, we get asked who you want to fight, but we want to fight everybody. I want to fight whoever can get me. But I politically, I don't call the shots. So it's like I'm just ready for the call to come to me. And I'm ready because I'm top 10 now by the WBC, which puts me on the radar for everybody.
Absolutely. That's a good spot to be sitting in.
Wait. Before you go, because you said a lot. I want to ask you, being a guy that's coming up right now, and you're looking for the title shot, looking for an opportunity. Like recently, we just saw Ngannou come from the MMA and just get like a shot with Tyson Fury right away. Like, what do you think about those fights? Yeah, but what do you think about a guy coming right over and getting an immediate opportunity like that?
Hey, well, boxing's always been a weird sport because if you sell the tickets, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
You can get somebody a crossover fight. This guy's coming from MMA. Obviously, you would need to be a combat sport to come into boxing and be able to fight. But if he's going to sell that many tickets, if he's going to get a couple million fans tuning in and everybody watching, and now the show is massive. All we ask for as fighters is say, put me on the undercard because I'm trying to get some notoriety as well, and I opportunity to show what I've been working on my whole life, but just put the light on us. And so
I guess I'm really asking, what would you do? What would be your course of action if because I've seen it talked about a lot, Sean O'Malley's always on there, talking about, I'll knock Tank Davis's head off, this and that. If you were in line to fight Tank Davis tomorrow, and then all of a sudden Sean O'Malley comes in and he's like, I want to fight him for what does that look like for the promoters and everything? How does that work?
Well, it depends. If they come in with a legitimate not offer, but if they carried legitimate weight in the game, let's say Mayweather McGregor, if he has reason to fight McGregor, where they're gonna sell this many tickets, they're gonna guarantee this many people. It's almost a crossover fight where you get all the fans from the boxing side of things, and you get all these fans from the MMA side of things that McGregor brought over. So it's like, again, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So if we sell the tickets, you get that many views, that many buys. That's the business. That's the industry. And I learned through a lifetime in boxing that's what calls the shots around here, because we just want to get the coverage, get the views, get everyone to watch, and because there's no overhead like league in boxing, you always have this promoter versus this promoter, so it's all about individual. If you can put that deal together with that other big entity that's going to bring in that fan base, that's a good sale, man.
Yeah. And now we ask this a lot of people, but to backpedal a little bit, how does a guy like you get into boxing? Usually we hear about a lot of guys coming on here telling us that they were getting in a lot of fights as kids. I don't know if that was your story or not. Or what's the other one we hear, that the fathers always got him into it, right? We hear a lot of the fathers got him to the gym. How does the boxing journey start for you?
I was the first one. I was
fighting a lot.
An aggressive kid. I wasn't like a mean kid. I fought. I liked combat. I liked figuring out how to fight, maneuver. I had bigger cousins who always roughed me up and stuff. Then I come to school and I was fighting right away. I get into fights in grade 1 all the way up to all the way up. So it was just in the blood, and that's what they say. You don't pick fighting, and I never meant to be a fighter. I just had this streak inside my heart that I wanted to compete. When somebody hit me, I hit them back, and if they come at me, then I'm coming forward. So I just had this in the heart, and then I found my outlet as I went to boxing, and it was one of the best things I ever did, because I obviously had a lot to vent, because I made a career out of it.
And now, who gets you there, though? You know what I mean? Like who makes that connection? Like, you're getting in these fights. Who's the person that says, "Hey, let's go to a boxing gym"? Or who's the person that pulls you into a gym? Who is that person for you?
My mom.
Wow, you don't hear that very often.
No, I don't think I've heard that once.
Usually the moms are telling you to stay away from shit like this.
Yeah, well, my dad was all for it, but my mom was the one who was like, "Hey, this is like the vent. Stop fighting at school. Stop fighting in other sports where you're not supposed to fight."
We're getting tired of getting called into the principal's office.
Exactly. So then he actually put me in, and when I started, my trainer just had the corner of another gym. There's this big weights gym where people just lifting, but there's a little floor space, and we had a heavy bag, and we hit the pads, and I learned there, and I started to, there was other kids that I was working with a little bit, but immediately I was able to do some things. I was able to punch, and I had an idea. I had a feel for the game. So I guess I don't know if I was naturally into it, or my dad showing me how to punch when I was a kid helped me, or watching boxing helped me, but something clicked. So I'm happy that I found it.
I don't know. All I can tell you, Steve, is I got a son that's about to turn 3 in May, and I teach him how to punch all the time.
Hey, beautiful.
The earlier the better. Yeah.
And it gives you a vent of not just your aggression mentally, but physically. Like, sometimes I wake up in the morning, I go for a run or something, and after I feel like I get almost like I needed to move. And I think that some people have this where you're just kind of a physically focused kind of guy. If you don't get the movement, especially because if you're an athlete or you get into sports, or you need that. And I think that it's a great vent for us mentally to be able to put it out there physically. So I'm lucky that I found boxing.
And now, did you have that guy for you that you kind of put up on that pedestal when you were coming up? Everyone seems to have that boxing hero or that guy that they idolized. Was there somebody like that for you?
I had many, because I was coming from, like, here in Calgary, there was never really a huge boxing scene. So I was watching all the guys on YouTube and watching all the HBO fights back then, and watching on ESPN, TS. I just watched all the fights. But you know what? I loved Arturo Gatti. When I was young, he was one of the guys. he was one of the guys who literally he inspired me to be able to show my will and show that I can do it. And I don't know, he was like the living proof of like the hard work. You can do extraordinary things if you do the work and you work towards a goal. And it's just a heart, man. He's the heart of boxing.
Anytime people
Rest
ask
in peace
me,
to the blood and guts warrior, man.
rest in peace to the blood and guts warrior. And I always tell people who aren't into boxing, you know, if they ask me for like a jumping off point or like, geez, like what's a fight that could get me excited about boxing? I always go to Gaddy Ward 1, even round number 9. If you can't watch that and feel something watching those two in round 9 in that first fight, you have no pulse. Something's wrong with you.
No, you just have no passion for fight sports.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A true classic, that one.
Yeah. And the amazing part of all three of those fights really was that him and Mickey Ward, an equally great dance partner, 30 rounds they gave us and they weren't fighting for shit. No belts, no title shots on the line, just beating the piss out of each other for our entertainment.
Just it was a challenge. That's what they call mano a mano.
Yeah.
This guy versus that guy. And you see, it almost brings it out of you because when you start fighting hard and like, it's really hard to explain, but it's I wouldn't call it like spiritual, but like you put your heart and soul into this training camp, and then when someone else is mirroring that, it will bring the best out of you. And when you go against the mirror, this is where brilliance is created. You get performances like that, and everyone's somebody who
I love that you're saying that. I love that you're saying that because I'm kind of picking up what you're saying. Like you're here in your gym and you're doing your thing, but maybe a guy on the other side of the country is doing the exact same thing with you in mind,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the game. That's why we need our opponents, and that's why a lot of you want to take that guy out, but you thank him for the
right. Double-edged sword.
In the same side of a different coin is like some guys aren't on the other side of the country working as hard as you, and those are the guys you steamroll.
Yeah.
But then you run into that one guy who's doing exactly what you're doing, and he's just
right. Because an interesting maker. Yeah, an interesting quote that Arturo Gatti said, I think it was either him or Mickey Ward. One of those guys said, I can't wait till the day when I fight the exact replica of me. You know what I mean? And then when those two found each other, they realized, holy shit, we're literally fighting each other here. Like we are the same guy. And they became great friends afterwards.
I was going to say, there's a reason they became buddies.
Yeah. So the plan, to be fighting for a world title, what kind of timeline do you foresee that happening in? Like, when would you like to see it happen? I know you don't pull the strings like that, but you see it happening in 2024, 2025?
You know what? If everything goes according to plan, the end of 2024 looks like a great time to me. So I'm working towards it as if that's what it's going to be. And again, you just get ready. The name of the game is get ready for the next one. And you never know, because the next one could be the biggest opportunity of my life. The next could be, you never know. Like if the right guy calls, the right thing happens. I mean, look at Andy Ruiz a couple of years back. Like the fight wasn't scheduled until maybe a month before, but he was ready. He'd done a lifetime in boxing and he got the opportunity and he did it, and that's like what all us fighters are working for our whole lives. It's like you work your whole life for that one night where you change the rest of it because you get the opportunity.
Yeah. Shout out that fight because that made a 3-punch combo too.
Yeah.
The Andy Ruiz fight.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure. Well, I think it made. I think it was on the big upsets list, right?
Yeah, upset list. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it couldn't take the number 1 spot because I don't think anybody saw Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson back in 1991. That is going to go down in history as the biggest upset of all time, I think.
Yeah, it is right now, and it's
42-1 underdog. I mean, usually you don't see that big of a spread in boxing. It's usually a little more even than that.
You know how much money somebody made off that?
I know. If somebody took Buster Douglas, man, that's instant retirement right there, man. I mean, but who would have thought to do that, though? That was back in the day when Mike Tyson was still killing dudes.
Put $100K on Buster Douglas and you're walking away with
man, I'm telling you, man. Yeah.
Retire, man.
Yeah, you can retire. And now, so what do you think, without divulging too much of like who you are as a fighter, even though guys can study tape on you and stuff like that, what do you think your best asset is as a boxer? Obviously, you got 37 wins, 25 knockouts. So obviously, you certainly have power.
Yeah, I have a little pop. And you know what? Honestly, if I were to tell you the truth, I haven't shown my power yet. And that's why boxing's such a crazy game, because like I've done it my whole life, and I still feel like I'm not throwing this punch how I
Right.
and I know I can hit harder than that. I know that I haven't shown my best. That's why I'm still just as hungry as I ever was.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's 25 guys out there that would probably disagree with that, with that sentiment. But
but you know what? One of my definite strengths is my cardio, my endurance, my ability to push a relentless pace for the entirety of the fight, because I've always done that. I've always worked on my stamina. And actually, a funny thing, I got a funny one for you. When I was a kid, I used to have asthma. Okay, and I thought, I don't know, I just had asthma. That was it. But my parents put me in swimming. And I remember swimming killed me, man. I was like having an asthma attack every time, but I'm still doing it because, there's no excuses. You're going to swimming. And then I kept doing it. And I almost like became a diaphragmatic breather. I learned how to exercise my diaphragm, my lungs, because I had to, because I was competitively swimming, where I had this disadvantage, which later in life turned out to be a huge advantage, because I think my energy systems kind of built themselves up going through those years of like swimming and doing it. I was playing every other sport too, but it goes to show like the resistance always seems to build to something good. So it's tough,
Yeah.
and the hard sports and the hard training and the hard, like swimming, doing these things that were difficult for me when I was a kid, it ended up working out for me because I was resilient. I pushed it through, and now my stamina is better because of this. Now my fortitude is strong because I know how to do it. Even when I don't want to do it, I know how to do it. So these are two important things that are big in boxing, and I'm lucky that I experienced them and went through it and learned about them.
Yeah.
If you could take championship fights back to 15 rounds, would you do it?
I would, yes.
Yeah.
I would love to. Now, mind you, I haven't fought 12, so I'm only talking.
Right.
Jim, I box a whole lot of rounds, and I always have ever since I was young. So I love a 15 rounder.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to the old days, man. At 15 rounders, we talked to Michael Silk Alajide last night, and he still has that mindset too. Like championship fights are 15 rounds, but obviously, we saw tragedy in the ring. You can understand why they chopped off those 3 rounds, obviously, or whatever. But I mean, I don't know if that was necessarily the answer, because you could still get hurt in a 12-round fight pretty bad.
You could get hurt in a 2-round fight.
Yeah, you can get hurt in 1 round.
Exactly. So it's tough. Like that's the thing with boxing. Everything's like individual almost. It's fight by fight. This fight's different from that fight. This opponent's different from that opponent. So it's how it all lines up is what makes the fight game so interesting.
I'm interested.
I want to say, hot topic, off of your weight class. Tyson Fury and Usyk rescheduled to May 18th. Who is going to take that fight, Steve?
So I originally was thinking that Fury, because they're both boxing movers. Usyk's not a one-punch knockout kind of guy. I thought Fury had the advantage because they're going to have a technical boxing match, and one guy is so much bigger than the other. And if they're both boxing and moving, Fury's going to take it. I mean, I would say a decision, but now things are happening. So everything always gets interesting because you don't know what Fury's play is here. I mean, that cut, it's not like you can fake a cut. So obviously some stuff went down, but is he now using this time to stall, or does this time mess him up? Or like, it depends on so many things, but I was leaning Fury at the beginning of it. I'm coming back to 50-50 around now, though.
Yeah, yeah, I know it's tough to call this,
Hey,
but now,
hey, no, wait, before he goes, before you get whatever you're gonna get out, I say we remember we were talking the other day about the new segment about the emphatic whatever. We
yeah.
should maybe get it with Steve right here. Start it with Steve.
Yeah, Steve. So, obviously we're in the era of clickbait, obviously. So when we put these messages up, nowadays it's always about the clickbait. Something comes up and you click on the video and you think you're going to see something or hear something. And sometimes it doesn't happen. But if you had to give an emphatic statement right now that could be seen as clickbait, in your career or whatever, man, what would you say emphatically is going to happen? It could be the future. Huh?
Anything. Not
anything.
Who you're going to fight, just anything.
Just give us an emphatic statement.
About boxing?
Yeah, about your career, about
career.
you, about anything in general. Yeah, like say for instance, that you were going to fight Subaru Matias. Let's say for instance, like you'd say something emphatic like, "I'm going to knock Subaru Matias out in 5 rounds." Right. Don't say that.
Like,
I mean, but
just emphatic.
Yeah.
Just say something that I can do, or that I
something with some conviction.
No, not something that you can't do. Just something that you would confidently say. Like if you were about to say, if someone said to you, Steve, tell me something confident about you right now, about your career, what would you tell me is your most confident? Like, give me a confident line.
Okay, I'm absolutely confident that I'm ready to face the very best in the world at 140 pounds. I put my whole life into this game, and I've sparred and fought some of the best guys in the world, and I've been doing it for over a decade. And I'm ready for my shot, and I've been ready for my shot, and I'll keep working until my shot gets here. And when I get my shot, you'll see the best of me. So that's what I'd say.
Obviously,
that's emphatic.
That works.
That's what you needed to say.
Now, we just talked about Devin Haney being the top dog, in the WBC right now. But a controversial fight that he had, before the Prograis fight when he fought Lomachenko. What did you make of that fight? How did you score that fight? Because that's another very polarizing decision right there.
I scored it. I remember I scored it very slightly for Dev, because there is, like, as much as people don't want to admit it, there is the reality that when one guy's bigger, stronger, even if he's just bigger and the other guy's hitting him, if you land something and I don't even blink, or like it does a little something, but I land a jab and it knocks your entire being back, like the size, the stature, he looks more imposing, and I felt that when he was doing stuff, he looked more imposing. He looked like he was more effective, and when Lomachenko was landing, he may be scoring points, but he didn't have the power to really buzz him or make, like do an authoritative like take the play. I don't even know how to explain it, but the taller guy has a hard time taking the play unless he's just absolutely more skilled, which in this case usually Lomachenko would be, but in this, he's up against Dev, who's equal, like he's very, very skilled as well. But even when he's landing, he's not doing the same kind of damage. And that one's just, I swear, it's like Loma's one of those guys. He was too big or too small for the weight classes that he was fighting in for a long, long time. He came up from 122, right? So it's just tough to go up to 140 and fight guys. Like he was already fully grown when he was 122 or 126. He was a grown man.
Now, do you feel
I think the Haney fight was at 30, 135. I'm pretty sure, but
it was Devin's last one.
We've talked a lot about just the fact of Lomachenko. If Lomachenko went back down to 130 or 126 or so, that area, he'd probably dominate again.
Right, which he could make, which is what, you know what I mean? Like he could just go back down to 130.
Yeah,
he could make that weight because he knows how, and he's not naturally a huge dude. So, I mean, that would be an interesting play, because usually people go up in weight. Rarely do you ever see someone go back down to go get another fight. But, there's new blood at 130, 126, maybe. I mean, you never know.
What about your own weight issues? Are you a guy that walks around pretty close to your fighting weight, or are you one of these guys who fluctuates?
No, I walk around close. I learned my lesson when years and years ago, I fought in the Philippines, and I had one of the hardest weight cuts of my life. And I learned, okay, you need to. I kind of checked myself because the weight cut, I was doing it wrong then. I didn't know what I was doing, and then later in life, I went up. I was fighting at welterweight, and then I worked with nutritionists, and I worked with different strength and conditioning coaches. I kept note of everything for over a decade, and I figured out what works for me. And I actually came back down, and I've been fighting at 140 now comfortably. And even right now, I'm not too far off weight. Like I could make weight. You give me 2 weeks, I'll be at a nice 140, ready to fight. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm starving, killing myself to make it either.
You just got to stay away from those. You got to stay away from those French fries with the gravy that you guys like up in Canada, right? That's
but if you were to win the, like we were talking about you being ranked top 10 in the WBC and ranked in all the other ones. If you were to capture some belts at 140, would you keep cleaning out in 140, or would you want to move then from there and maybe go to 47, or you know what I mean, and see what you could do in other classes? Or
I would listen to the machine. You know what I mean? I would listen to my body. If I'm making 140 regularly right now, like I am right now, and it's not like I'm getting the best performances out of myself now.
Yeah.
Like not when I was younger, when I fought at 47, not when I was younger and I tried to fight at 135. And not when, then I figured out, okay, try 44 catch weight. I'll take that offer. Like I kind of messed around, but now I'm like, until further notice, until my body tells me it's time to move up, which in that case I would. If I was like having a hard time making weight and go up to 147, I would love to, because I've been
You're in your wheelhouse. You're in your wheelhouse right now, though.
Yes, exactly. So I'm sitting at 140, and I'm happy because the division's live. There's opportunity, and I'm making weight better than ever. And I feel like my experience puts me in a good spot because I've been fighting my whole life, and I have a lot more fights than a lot of these guys that I'm watching coming up. And so it's time to use that,
When you're on a streak like this, when you're on a streak like this and you've won 9 fights in a row, obviously we see like suspicions and superstitions in other sports. When you're on a roll like this, how do you keep the momentum going? Do you feel like you have to do certain things, do them the same way? Like, does it start to work on your mind when you're on a roll? Because obviously, like we've heard stories about, like, if a hitter is on a good hitting streak, maybe he puts his socks on the same way every time, or he rubs his bat a certain way. Like, what do you do in boxing when you're on a roll like this? Or is it just business as usual?
You treat the next fight like it's the biggest fight of your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the fights that we've had that were starting this roll. The next fight is the only fight. And that's something that just through being in the game for so long. But it's like the next fight is the most important fight of my life.
So you can't sit around and pat yourself on the back about the 9-fight streak. You focus in on the next one.
Yes, I'm hungry for the next one already. Like I need it. I've been training. I want it. I want it bad. And the next fight's the biggest fight. And that's kind of the mentality I've had over the last couple of years. And it works for me because I stay motivated. I'm hungry. I'm happy to be in the gym. Loving my job. I mean, this is a good time of my life. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask him when we were talking about weight before and stuff, and just something that came to my mind was, being that Devin Haney's a guy that fights in your weight class and stuff like that, and we just saw him fight Prograis, and he came in so big afterwards, like the day after weigh-ins. Like, what do you think about like the weight clauses and the rehydration clauses and things like that? And like, also something that me and my dad are like this. That's my dad. This is me and my dad do this thing. So we talk about a lot, like going back to like same day weigh-ins. So guys can't like rehydrate like that much. Like, what do you think about all that stuff?
Well, I mean, we know the rules of the game. When you're a professional, you got to know the rules of the game. And when you sign that contract, it is what it is. And that's why we're able to take it on such a fight by fight. Like, I've had a couple fights where I had the rehydration clause in there. As per the belt organization that was sanctioning the fight,
yeah,
weigh in the next day too, and I can't gain more than 10 pounds.
Right.
So the night, of the weigh-in, I'm checking the scale. I'm making sure I didn't go up too high. I got to be careful. And then I knew that going in. So in boxing, that's like the game. It's like that. Those are the rules. That's in the contract. You got to do it. And that's like, if you signed the contract, that's it. And if
Is
you
that,
did,
is that just like side note? Is that something that kind of mentally like could hinder you going into a fight though? Because you weigh and then you're trying to like watch what you have for dinner. Maybe you're like chilling with your friends or your girlfriend or something. You can't have a steak dinner because you might get too fat. Like,
right?
is that
Hey, but it's your management, internal management. It's like,
Yeah.
if I know that that's the rules, I'm going to play by the rules. If
Right.
I'm worrying about the rules and I don't want to work, that's on me because I'm now taking the situation. I'm stressing out about it. But I could go through the exact same situation and not be stressed about it because I got a game plan, because I know the rules. I know that I have to make this weight again. And it is what it is. A lot of boxing's like that. It's like you take it for what it is, man, especially when it's a political sport like this. It's like if you sign the contract that said you're going to do that, you better do that as per the contract, or else that's on you, because that's like it's an unforgiving game. But I think
Yeah.
my experience in boxing has taught me, it's like I said that I would do that on contract, I will do that. That's
Now,
it.
what about the theory that we see going around? And I don't know if you buy into this terminology, but where we see guys called a weight bully. Like when Devin makes the scale at 140 and comes in at 165, you get people who obviously come on, whether they know the sport or they don't, but they'll, obviously people that don't know the sport probably scratch their head and say, oh, why isn't this guy fighting in the 160-pound divisions then? Do you believe in that theory that people can be weight bullies and they shouldn't be putting on that much weight? Like if you were fighting Devin at 140 pounds, and maybe you put on 6 or 7 pounds, and he comes in, as almost a super middleweight. Is that bothersome to
I
you?
feel like you're the perfect guy to ask this too because you stay around 140.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care. I wouldn't
Okay.
care. I wouldn't care at all because I signed the contract and this is what it is. And if he's going to put on a bunch of weight, then it'll make him slower. In
Yeah.
my mind, that's like, well, watch, he's going to be slower. He's going to, it's tough to digest when you overdo it like that. It's hard to move when you've been training with all of your machine used to weigh this, and now all of a sudden you're 10 pounds heavier. Maybe that messes you up. You never
Yeah.
know. But I know what works for me. So I don't care what they're gonna do because it doesn't affect me unless I worry about it, stress about it, and then it will affect me. But the trick is just do what you can control and let go of the stuff that you can't. Because if you start oh, he's bigger than me now. Oh, is his weight class now? But nothing has happened. You know what
Right.
that's like a big thing that I learned from boxing. It's like you can wind yourself up in your head, mess yourself up just because you were overthinking, but nothing has happened. You just thought yourself into stress, and now you're tired because you worried about something that was gonna either way it was gonna happen. So for me, that one is just it's out of my hands. I signed the contract. I don't care about that side. I know what I'm gonna do. That's it. That's as far as I even look because I know that looking over there that's not going to do anything for me.
Right. Fine, Devin. You want to come in fat? Fine. Come in fat then.
Come in as much as you want. Because
Yeah.
the rules say you can, so bring it on.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, hey,
I argue with that.
I see the point you're making. You're trying to find like a way to make, you're trying to make that weight gain almost seem like an advantage. I mean, you're telling yourself, hey, this is going to, impede him. He's been training at a certain weight. He's been sparring with guys at a certain weight. It's almost maybe not an advantage to come in that big.
Right. And then a lot of, fight sports, it's like sell it to yourself because
Right.
then you'll go in there with confidence because you believe you and you told yourself that this guy's now slow because he overdid his refeed and now he's cramping up and he's maybe he's not, but your mind won't be worried about he's so much bigger. It's just a way to steer your brain to focus on the right thing. And it's
Yeah.
like control that, so I don't care. And that's a good strength that I developed through boxing. It's like, if you can't control that, don't stress about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something I need to know is I grew up playing basketball, and you were just talking about cramping up. Is it permissible before a boxing match to eat a banana in order to not get the cramp under the ribs?
Yeah. You're allowed to, as long as the commissioner sees what you have, all the like food and snacks and stuff that you have, when you're in the back, like warming up, you're allowed to have. I always have a little bit of fruit or whatever, just little snacks to keep your glycogen levels up. Then you have your
I was
energy.
kind of curious because I've never seen them do it on TV or whatever. But like one thing I always did before a game was like eat a banana.
Yeah, because
then you won't get that cramping.
Exactly.
It's that potassium. It's that potassium. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? If it works for you, do it. There's no rules against it. Do it. You try it in training. And if it works, run it on fight day because it'll work again.
So here's another thing.
So you're saying even Juan Manuel Marquez drinking his own piss, do it on fight day?
If it works, it works.
No comment on that one.
If it works, that's probably the safe bet right there. Just say no comment. But here's what I got to have a comment on. What about the age-old adage that we heard from Rocky's trainer Mickey about women weakening legs? Where do you stand on, where do you stand on mixing it up with the women prior to a fight? Is that a long gone theory, or do fighters and should fighters still ascribe to that?
I think it's a long gone theory because there have been scientific tests, I guess, and things that have shown that sex and being in the presence of the other gender and stuff can boost your testosterone. It can make you feel a little more amped up, and you can kind of get into a good state like that. So I mean, that's why whatever works for you works for you. I've met fighters who abstain for a long time. I've met some who do the good luck. You know what would almost be crazy, man? What if you what you gotta do? You gotta like have sex with your girl and then the next day have her fake cheat on you with somebody else. Then you'd be like fucking enraged. You're
gonna go in there with your head all fucked up though.
That's what I was gonna say. Rage is blind, so you got to find a way to.
Yeah. Good point. Don't listen to Benji's on any of his advice. It's all shit. It's all But listen, Steve, I'm glad we finally got a chance.
Steve, it's tongue in cheek.
It's tongue in cheek. It is. Yeah, Steve. Listen, it's been a blast. I'm glad we finally got a chance to schedule this and actually make it happen. I hope you'll keep in touch and we can do this again from time to time. We would love to have you back on.
Yeah, buddy. I had a great time chatting with you guys. I'm happy to talk boxing whenever.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly keep us, your friends with us on Facebook, with the Off the Couch Boxing page. So please keep us in the loop of what's happening. And more importantly, Steve the Dragon, when you are strapping that championship belt on, don't forget about the little podcast that we're looking out for you. Please.
Let's get it.
When you're the champion and you've dethroned Devin Haney, promise us you'll come back on here.
Yeah.
Let's get it. Absolutely.
Okay. That's good enough for us, man. Listen, champ,
it was come back on here and show us the strap.
Show us the strap. Yeah, please. Because I think we're at it that way. You're on a hell of a roll, my friend, and we're pulling for you, man.
Yep.
It's been a long journey, but I'm picking up speed now.
Yeah. It's really clicking, man. It really is, man. And we certainly wish you continued success, man. Off the Couch Boxing, we loved having you on. We are Team Dragon. Yeah, we are Team Dragon. We're Team you. You're stuck with us now, Steve.
Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
That's right. We appreciate you, Steve. Thanks so much for doing this, man. It's been a blast, really.
Yep.
See you guys soon.
Yeah, good talking to you, Steve. Thank you. And we knock another one out of the park as we close the show here, man. Certainly my hat is off to the great Steve Claggett, our friend now from
I didn't want to ask when he was on here, but you said he had 37 wins, 25 by knockout. What's his actual record, though? What's his full record?
37-7-2.
That's not bad, though. That's not bad.
25 knockouts. But the important thing is, though,
he said he had a rough go of it early on.
Yeah, but He just won on January 25th, and that's 9 in a row. That's 9 fights in a row. That's nothing to sneeze at right there. That's a hell of a fucking, if he was, if we were talking about an NBA team on a 9-game winning streak or a baseball team, that's not as much. But 9, defeating 9 men in a row, streaks are different in boxing,
Right.
I don't think they're as easily attainable. It's hard to go on there. Of course, we see guys out of the gate. Okay, yeah, like we see a guy like Devin Haney. He's 30-0. So, like when you think about 9 in a row, it pales in comparison when a guy's come out of the gate and he's 30-0, or Terrence Crawford who's 40-0 or whatever. But still, I mean, it's still something to build on. Keeps him in the top 10. He keeps on winning. He keeps climbing that ladder, man. Championship gold, as he said, is in the crosshairs, hopefully for the end of 2024, man. And, of course, anybody that comes on here and chops it us with us, we're always going to back that play. We're always going to back that play. As I said, man, fucking Team Claggett is stuck with us now, for better or worse. But yeah, Steve the Dragon Claggett, glad I've been talking to him for, for weeks now. Glad we finally got a chance to do it. Super great guy, fighting at the 145 division, which he said is popping right now. And boy, is it ever, man. 140 pound is popping right now, man. And he's in the mix. That's a guy right there. That's a guy we just chopped up with right now that's in the fucking mix. Top 10 WBC, man. That's real. That's as real as it gets right there, man.
Absolutely.
He's poisoned himself for some big fights, man. I was trying to get him to do a Subriel Matias call out, but
yeah.
I was
trying to get him to say he just seemed like a nice guy, not emphatic.
Yeah, but he did say that.
I did like his statement though.
Yeah. I mean, he did say that he's ready right now, man, for all those top guys.
Doing it a long time.
Yeah.
Ready right now.
Yeah, he's got a very good outlook on things, man. A very positive outlook. And, of
I
course,
was trying to get something. I was trying to, if you watch this later, I was trying to get something a little more emphatic than that. But we like where you went with it. Well,
I think it's emphatic to say, look, man, I'm ready for all the top guys. I'm not going to single one guy out. If it's Haney, if it's Tiafimo, if it's Subriel, if it's Rolly, if it's Prograis.
I said to him, there doesn't have to be a name attached to anything.
Yeah, we might have to scrap that segment. I think it's a little too confusing.
What do you mean?
I don't know, man. When you tell someone to give you an emphatic statement, I don't know if they know what to mean or whatever. I guess we'll just have to go back and just dissect the interviews and make our own emphatic statement. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of tough to do sometimes, man, because
I feel like you worded it right, though. Like, if you could give me a clickbait statement.
Yeah, maybe in this day and age, it's better to say, just give me something I can put in there for clickbait, please.
Right. Can you give me a clickbait
statement? Yeah. I think that's kind of better way.
But then he thought that meant something that he doesn't feel like he could do.
Right. If shit talking is not your thing, and he seems like he's got a good head for it, and he's learned a lot along the way from a business standpoint. It is business, and not every guy necessarily. And of course, we learned about this in a guy we had on, Rafi Cohen, in his Trash Talk book. Some guys need it to get themselves up, and some guys feel like it's not something that gives them an edge. That they just look at it as like, hey, this is my job. I punch the time clock, and then I go punch somebody in the face.
Man, look, we've been out here fucking chopping it up long enough. Like and subscribe. If you're watching this right now, shout out to the fucking Fifth Ward. Shout out Bushwick Bill. Rest in peace. Fifth Ward Ozzy hat.
Yeah. Fifth Ward, baby. I'm an honorary member.
And hit the notification bell, because that does something for us. I don't know.
Well, no, it does something for our audience. It lets them know that there's something new up.
Yeah.
I might smoke a little too much.
Because that does something for us.
You might have smoked a little too much pot if you don't know what the notification bell does, man. I mean, lay off.
No, I know what it does, but it does something for us too. I mean, the more notification bells, that's something. I'm pretty sure.
Come on, help us out, man.
If you got people hitting the bell and getting their notifications, I think that's better than even getting a subscription.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people might not know this, man, but we are a father and son duo doing this out here, man, passionate about boxing. I think passionate like no other podcast is, man, for digging deep and getting, unearthing, interviews and content, man, that I think is truly magical. So I hope
also, I feel like part of it is just the way we talk to them and ask them certain questions that probably not a lot of people would even be willing to ask them.
Yeah. And I think, a lot like I approach my job in healthcare too. I think a lot of it is levity and humor. You're talking about such a blood and guts. It's a lot like me working in healthcare. You see the downside of it a lot, but it's okay to introduce a little humor and a little, levity and have laughs with these guys, man. You know what I mean? Like, these guys aren't just these big barbarians that come out and, you can't crack a joke with them or whatever, man. I find that the boxing community is absolutely fantastic.
Most of them are big, funny, loving teddy bears.
Teddy bears, yeah. I mean, yeah, and the boxing community,
and they love pugilism, but most of them are fathers and husbands, and you know what I mean.
And I got to say, too, man, that the boxing community has welcomed us with open arms. We've gotten great interviews. We've only been up and running for like 3 or 4 months, man. But, I feel like we're being embraced by the boxing community, the same boxing community that we embrace and are so passionate and love so much. So it's been very warming and welcoming just to have all these guys on here. I'm still amazed. Every time somebody's face pops up, you almost don't believe it's going to happen. And then you see the James Tonys and the Rafael Ruelises and, of course, the other guys on the come up, too. But, when you really get 51, like,
I watched Raul Marquez on fucking TV.
I know. It's crazy.
Talking to me.
Yeah, I've got his phone number in my phone. It's just, crazy. I mean, to think I've had conversations with him on the air and off the air, so I got to pinch myself sometimes that we're fortunate enough to get to do this as a side hustle. But, the audience can certainly help us out and make it maybe a little more of a side hustle if we get those subscribers and viewer numbers up. But they're coming.
No, in the back of your mind, when you're hitting the subscription bell, if we get paid from this, it's all just, we just love it. We're doing this whether we get paid or not.
And also remember the fact that we are in upstate New York, man. No one's more qualified than us. Why? I guess because we're in the backyard of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. So New York State is boxing, man. You know what I mean? So we're so I consider us in the Mecca, in the hub. I don't know if maybe people consider Los Angeles or Madison Square Garden or this place or that place, man. But the International Boxing Hall of Fame is a throw away.
I don't know what that girl's name is at the Turning Casino, but hey, shout her out right now. Get us on the list.
Yeah. I don't think she'll ever see the light of day or this podcast. I worded that wrong. She won't probably see this podcast, but maybe I ought to lay off the pot too. Jeez, I'm getting tongue tied.
Shout out Ed Brophy.
And I haven't even had any today. Yeah. Our Boxing Hall of Fame needs to be bigger, badder, and better.
Yeah,
I will say that for it, man. It should be a cathedral, much like the Cooperstown, which is also in our state, the Baseball Hall of Fame. It should be cathedral-like. It should be high ceilings, memorabilia, rings, just all kind, footage playing, just all kinds of shit. It shouldn't, there should be like a lot to it. It should be an all-encompassing experience because it has a rich history and a heritage. I mean, boxing goes back, I think, just as long as any other organized sport. Maybe longer. Probably longer. Yeah. What?
Like Rafi talked about in the Trash Talk book, that we were trash talking friggin' forever.
In biblical times.
So they were dueling and fighting.
Yeah.
Long before they were playing football.
I feel like Noah might have even been on the ark saying, "I got a boat, bitches."
because we know when that guy created basketball with the basket on them with James Naismith. We know what day that was. We don't know when they started fighting.
Right. Yeah. Who the hell knows? Yeah. Right. They were punching on people back in the Roman times, and who knows?
All the time. Every time, all the time.
Gladiators have always existed. Gladiators and warriors
has existed since the beginning of man.
Yeah. That's true. So, certainly a big shout out to Steve the Dragon and Claggett, man. Keep your eye on him
and subscribe. Hit the bell.
Yeah.
We're still talking from Baby Busey to Gary Busey. I can go 15 seconds with anything.
Yeah. And remember, if you want to be a champion, you must watch this podcast and continue to roll with the champs.